Now we're going to talk about the information processing model itself and kind of do an overview of it. As you can see from this diagram, this figure, which is in the Dricsoll book, it shows that there are three basic components here. Sensory memory, working memory, sometimes referred to as short-term memory, and long-term memory. Now, sensory memory basically is a very temporary holding pattern. It takes information from the environment, sensory input, something that your five senses might process, and it holds on to this just a fraction of a second. In fact, there's probably so much sensory input going on around us that we can't process all of it. So there's only a small fraction of it that actually enters here. And then if it needs additional processing, the key is attention. Attention is what moves something from sensory memory over here for further processing. Now there's two things we can do with information here in working memory. One is we can use it right at that moment in order to make some type of response. This happens, for example, one very simple, common, everyday example is conversation. We talk with people, we remember what they've just said in the conversation, and we make a response. We talk with them. Lots of, driving. We're using data from the environment to maneuver and make movements safely through traffic. We use working memory all the time to make responses. But as students and learners, and teachers, you should be very interested in the use of working memory to learn, to place things in a more permanent storage, and that would involve the process of coding or encoding, which then moves it over here to long-term memory and places it in a way that it can be retrieved, removed, used, pulled out of storage for use again if need be. Okay, sensory memory is a very temporary and limited store. Working memory also a bit limited, but very powerful. I mean, this is where most of the work gets done, but it can be limited in a couple of ways. It can be limited in the amount of time that it can hold information, and it can be limited in the amount of information that it can hold. Long-term memory, on the other hand, is permanent. Everything that gets processed and pulled through here is in long-term memory. Now, can we access all of it? It depends on how efficient our encoding was. Good encoding leads to good retrieval. So that's our overview of the system right there.